From your own perspective, why do you feel that Rangers supporters in particular cherish the history of their club so much?
I'm obviously biased, but I think our history is probably unrivalled. We've had triumphs and we've had tragedies, we've had the disasters, for example. We've had more success than any other team in the world, as we know. Every fan has got their great memories of the club, the great players, and we've had a number of these through the years. A number of successes, cup successes, league successes, great European ventures as well. So there's just so much to that tapestry. And I think the fans love to look back. And I think when they look back, they also like to see items that relate to these periods that are so important to them, and also to learn a bit more about it. So we've got a huge number of, I would say, amateur historians out there who love delving back, and I think this will give them an opportunity to expand their knowledge.
I had set up the Hearts Museum, and Robert Boyle from Rangers had been tasked with thinking about the Rangers Museum. And he went to Hampden, I believe, to speak to the curator. And Richard pointed him in my direction and said, if you're wanting to build a football museum, you need to speak to this person. And that was me. So Robert came and saw the Hearts Museum and liked what he saw. And I think liked my approach to how I developed that museum with the club, and asked me to be involved in the Rangers project. So it was at its very beginning. I started working with Joe. I got Joe into that position because Joe had approached me when I worked at Hearts looking for a volunteer job, and he was passionate about museums and football, and just by happy accident he happened to be a Rangers fan. So it was just perfect. He was in the right place at the right time.
Well, so I started in June 2018. It's not really changed much since then. It's first of all, I had to establish a collections room to make sure that it would be suitable to hold objects. I'm a part of a 6-person team who all provide different expertise to the project. I'm providing object knowledge, so I can provide lists of objects that help to tell the narrative of the story the museum is trying to tell.
We went round the club, gathering everything up, looking for everything, getting majorly excited about all the amazing objects. Of course, the things that are in the trophy room and everything else that's around the club. The club's just obviously steeped in history. And as a museum curator, that's my bread and butter. So it's so exciting for me to see all those objects. The club invested in a collections management system, we call it, called AdLib. It's very powerful, and it's a place where we store all the information about objects. So Joe had to go on a kind of 2 or 3 day training course somewhere down south to learn how to use that properly, and I did training with him. So we set up processes to document the collection. So the Rangers football collection, like most collections, football collections have never been recorded properly in that way. Most historians, football historians, excuse me, will have taken notes about the objects, and there'll be some record somewhere, but not in a museum process.
I guess important to point out that this is more than just an investment in a building with some cabinets, with the appointment of a collections assistant who's now progressed to being the curator. Having worked for so long on the history of the club, how important a role is this to really have someone to look after and secure the history of the club for generations to come?
I think in this particular instance we do need somebody who can understand how to look after the various items that come through, partly because we want to try and retain our own heritage, but also for people who lend us items, they want to know that they're going to be cared for in a proper way, and you know, taking into account things like humidity and the likes, so that there's no damages sustained by items. But to have somebody on the ground who can receive items, catalogue, retain them and highlight them for display is just so important, and it's been great to have Joe Morrison in that regard, and Joe's bringing his own additional skills in that, into the whole equation. It's
not just cabinets just filled willy-nilly with objects with no thought behind it. It's trying to tell a story about this great club, and they're stored in a manner that helps protect them. For argument's sake, we can't have shirts that are old with light just shining, beaming on them, and because before long they'll be damaged, put on repair. Same as archive material, we can't have light just constantly shining on them because they'll be gone and they'll be wrecked forever.
Now this is a great opportunity for supporters to get involved. What are some of the items that you're looking for from them?
I think the things that the stadium, the museum would really benefit from are things that are different. You know, we have got a number of programmes, for example, but we always love jerseys, old football boots, even old bits of the stand, anything that's tangible that kind of reflects back in our history. Old documents are obviously all important as well. Just things that look a bit different. If there are any old trophies out there, I remember we even picked up one from New Zealand, of all places, that was sent to us. So things like that are just a little bit different would be particularly welcome. But I think we would like to see what the fans have, and hopefully they'll be encouraged to come in and loan us some items, and be assured that they will eventually receive them back as well when time has gone.
Our shirt collection is quite poor, so match-worn player issue shirts throughout our history, but 1970s going backwards is really sought after. But shirts related to cup finals, domestic and European, league title wins, legendary players, things of that nature.
So I'm hugely proud of the work that we've done, and the fact that the club have taken it so seriously, that they've really invested. They've invested in Joe's education so that he can look after the objects properly. They've invested by working with me. They've invested in creating a proper museum rather than just another trophy room, which in itself is brilliant, but they want to take it to the next level. So yeah, and Stuart, who's also a huge fanatic of the social history part of it. So it's fantastic to have people on board who love the social history aspect of the football rather than just the game of football as it is now. Mm-hmm. They are really interested in what went before and how Rangers got to where it is today.
And important to stress as well, particularly given the current situation, we can't have supporters coming to the stadium, unfortunately.
In these COVID times, it's obviously restricts a lot of movement as well, but I think probably in terms of assisting us with cataloguing it and identifying what's there, it would be most helpful if people sent pictures by email of what they had. It would give us a chance to assess what's there quite quickly and get back to people quite quickly. And although people are obviously going to be in a situation we're going to be keen to get involved as such, and we really welcome that. I think in the first instance, if we could receive emails, that would be most helpful.